that means you're getting too many carbs. Okay. So nutrition on this side of the fence would be really good. I like, for putting on quality muscle, I like eggs and I like beef. And then I like dark meat, chicken or poultry, because it's higher in B12. And that's what you need, a lot of B12 in your system to get more amino acid methylation, where it's, generating and going through the cycle. Okay. So I would focus on having 3 or 4 quality meals. And then if you want to add a little more to that, then to keep your energy up, I'm a big fan of the beef liver capsules, because what I found with those, and I didn't take those until, about 4 years ago, but I was totally amazed at how my energy was and my stamina, because it really increases your red blood cell count, which also oxygenates the blood, so you have better endurance. So that was some of the things that benefited me. Then on your training, I will keep your training 45 minutes or less. You get too much, you can end up cannibalizing the muscle tissue, because when you're training, all you're doing is tearing yourself down. You're tearing down all the muscle, and you want to repair. And that's what those amino acids are, is for the repair. So that's the balance that you have to find. And then depending on how your physique develops, then you want to do different strategies on working on your weak points to bring them up. And like for me, that's my legs and my back were always, my back, I neglected that for a little while, and that cost me. So, but I've, bounced back from it. So it's another area. So the areas I focus on for myself as weaknesses is my legs and my back for me. So those are things, when you figure out what your weaknesses are, that's where your energy needs to go to bring up those weaknesses. Does that help?
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you very much.
Okay, great. All right, who else got a question?
I'll ask a question.
Sure.
A question on a diet. I might be one of the older guys in here, but I started lifting late in life, and lifted pretty regularly for about 15 years, and towards I gave it up for about 10 because of workload and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I started to get back into it last year, and just exercise about 2 times a week, and mainly did it to slim down. And I slimmed down with using the keto diet, and there seems to be a conflict about what you're saying, Arman, about protein and how much protein that you take versus the macros in a keto is about 70% fat, 20 protein, 10 carbs. I lost 50 some pounds, like the way I feel. And I don't want to lose that. If I start changing my diet, and if I start working out more than 3 times a week, or if I start up about 3 times, which is about all I really want to do,
Mm-hmm.
my weight starts going up. And, so I'm kind of at a crossroads.
Okay. Are you concerned about weight, or are you concerned about
this guy wasn't the
your body composition?
one amateur something.
Body composition overall, but the BMI and all that kind of stuff says I'm still high and everything like that. I mean, I'm like you. I was 125 pounds when I left high school, but I was 6'1".
Oh wow!
So,
Okay.
you and I would have had an interesting fight, because who knows how that would have ended up. Nobody'd have any weight on anybody else. But I took a strenuous job and kept with that through most of my life, and gained a lot of muscle, but also a lot of weight. And when I started on my weight, on getting in better shape and all that kind of stuff, I started it. I was over 260. So 22, I was 162 pounds. Today at 63, I am 210, 215. And so, you know, but I carry my weight pretty well. You know, I mean,
Question.
Okay, so
the
I
keto.
think I've got some things I could suggest for you. One thing about keto is, I don't do keto. I do carb cycling, or I'll do one of Vince's short-term diets. Okay, because with keto, you also need to make sure you get your full microbiome of your digestive system. Okay, so you need to have some carbohydrates, but you need to have them in a strategic manner. And so people are really confused by that because of what's in the media. So when you do keto, you will flatline at some point because you're not getting the stimulation that you need for the digestive system. And if you're doing weight training, you need the protein to help rebuild. So what I like to do is, again, depending on if I'm trying to put on some muscle or keep my muscle where I need it to be, you need 30 to 50 grams of protein per meal as a guideline. And just remember that 50 to 60% of that's going to convert to glucose. So there's some carbs right there on that point. Okay. And then you need some fat as your baseline energy. And you don't necessarily have to track all that and have these specific macros, because I found that those don't work for a lot of people. And it didn't work for me because you got to read your body and how it responds. And that's the energy system. That's going to be how your strength is and your recovery. Another thing that's really important to understand, though, is with fats, they help your hormones, okay, do their work better. So the better the fat intake you have, again, quality fats, then the better your hormones are going to be, because the hormones need fats to rebuild cells. So that's why you need fats. And the thing about carbohydrates is when you use them, they're only designed to load the liver and the muscles and give you some energy. But you get too many carbohydrates and you get the spillover, because if the muscles are already full and the liver's already full of glucose, which is what carbohydrates are going to convert to, then they have no place to go but the fat cell. So if you want to minimize adding body fat, that's where you get strategic with the carbs. So when I take my carbs in, I typically like to take them in the evening, okay, especially if I'm going to work out the next day, because that'll be the energy I'm going to work off of for my quick energy for the training. And also when you go to sleep and your body is doing their hormones and secreting the way it needs to, you're going to burn fat when you sleep. So when you wake up the next morning and you have some carbs, now we got insulin coming up. And when insulin comes up, now you've just cut off your fat burning process. Insulin is a fat storage hormone. Insulin is designed to help break down glucose. So you need to minimize that if you want to burn fat throughout the day. Then when you have the carbs in the evening, you're going to get an insulin spike. And I like high glycemic carbs versus the slow, steady, sweet potato, brown rice, and quinoa, and all this other stuff people are doing. You want an insulin spike so it drops right back down. When you get an insulin spike, that takes those nutrients, the protein and everything, the amino acids, and pushes it in the cells rapidly. And that's where the payoff is when you have your carbs. And so you don't need that many as well, because they're going to be very efficiently distributed into the system. You'll notice the next day you'll have a really good pump when you do it that way as well, even if you're training in the evening. Does that give you some insight? I mean, does that kind of answer your question? Or
Yeah, I think I can roll with that. I mean, that's a good start.
And then now you're 63. So what you have to also take into account is your hormone levels. So I'm going to suggest anybody that's over 40 to get your hormone levels checked. And if you need help with that, then, let me know. I mean, because there's more to it than just your testosterone. And that's a lot of things that people don't understand. And the medical community is not helping us at all with this as well, because if your hormones are declining, that's also a factor in how you're going to burn fat. You need to make sure your thyroid is working at a very high level, because thyroid is it has mitochondria, which is part of the energy system. And the better that thyroid gland works, the hotter your temperature, the better you're going to burn energy, and you're going to stay leaner that way. And then if it's not working, you're going to get hair loss, you're going to get other side effects. Okay. And so just checking your TSH, thyroid stimulating hormone, and it's in the range, doesn't help you. You need to be checking T3 and T4, okay, which is a more detailed analysis of your thyroid, just for one suggestion. Okay, but you need to get a comprehensive hormone panel test done where you're checking pregnenolone, DHEA sulfate, thick-binding hormoglobulins, and these things that the average doctor doesn't even know what to do with it if they even had the lab results. So you need to find the right people for that. And that's one of the things I coach people on, is understanding the process so that you're using everything you have at a natural level to improve your absorption. Because if your estrogen comes up and your sex-binding hormone globulins comes up, as an example, I'm not trying to confuse people here, okay? I'm just using some examples. Then you can fix that with supplementation. And what happens with too much estrogen in your system for males, it causes cardiovascular disease, causes prostate to enlarge. And if you keep it under check by checking your PSA, then that's one way to do it. And if your sex-binding hormone globulins is high, both estrogen and sex-binding hormone globulins take your testosterone away from you absorbing it. It reduces your free testosterone to very little. And then that's really difficult for energy, and it's difficult to put on muscle tissue. Okay, so again, try not to open up a huge can of worms here, but I'm just kind of giving some detail to things that you need to consider to get the best results for what you're trying to do to help your health. And this is all for health for that. I'm not into the, bodybuilding guys that do all the excess drugs and all this kind of stuff. I'm talking about how to balance your hormones using food, nutrition, the fats, supplements, so that you can live longer and get more out of life. All right, kind of a long-winded sorry there, guys. All right, another question.
Hey, Arman. It's Michael Wilson from Detroit. And great, thank you. So that segues, I've always wanted to be ripped, but I've always found it hard to lose body fat. Of course, I'm 55 myself, so now, of course, I'm finding it very difficult to lose weight. Like the other gentleman was saying, I started keto, but I've been reading up on the articles that you've actually been posting, and it's brought me back to my goal, to my base. So leading into that, you said get your hormones checked. Will we have to, or should we go ahead and start using supplements like the iodine, glandular supplements, and the other supplements to help with fat loss?
Okay, so the iodine part, I think, is a no-brainer for most people because, again, most people aren't getting enough iodine anyways, okay? And the iodine that you get from NSP is only 13.5 milligrams. And so to start with that, typically what you're going to notice is a little bit better energy. Now, for me, I have a thyroid problem. I'm on Armour, which is a natural desiccated thyroid. And I still take the Thyroid Gland Plus, which is a glandular for the thyroid. And I take iodine. I take 1 tablet of iodine every morning with my Armour, and it works well for me. Like anything else, you will have to experiment a little bit on that note. The glandulars can help with making sure the glands are functioning as best possible, okay? But also nutrition is critical for making the glands function properly, and that's where fats and proteins work really well together. The thing about carbohydrates, you get too many carbohydrates and sugars, and you get inflammation from that, and that's not really a positive thing for the body because that affects the body. Low-grade inflammation is fine. Like when you work out, you'll get a little bit of inflammation, but that's healthy because the body adapts to it and it looks forward to it. It's like it's going to take it right back down to where it needs to be. Does that help you on that, or?
Yes, a little bit. Yeah.
So if you're 55, what kind of nutrition program are you kind of following at this point? I mean, what's your day look like?
I do about 4 eggs in the morning. 2 of those are whole to keep, and they're cage free. So they are cage free eggs. I usually do like a whey protein right now, but I'm looking to supplement that or replace it with the beef liver and aminos. That's my goal, to replace that with that, but I haven't gotten them yet. Then in the afternoon for lunch, I take like steak and some salad or like some greens. That's pretty much my day.
All right. So like for me, I have 6 whole eggs in the morning, whole eggs. I don't have egg whites or anything on with the whole egg. Now that's because it gives me 36 grams of protein.
Plus
6
the
times
cholesterol.
6. Okay, now some eggs, okay, cholesterol, just understand cholesterol in eggs. Okay, there's always going to be debate on this. And so it's
Right.
your personal, and I'm not a physician and all this other stuff on the medical side, but I also know that the egg yolk contains choline, inositol, lecithin, biotin, other key ingredients. Lecithin is an automatic fat emulsifier.
That's fire,
So when
yes.
you're eating the whole egg, it's going to get utilized. Okay.
Okay.
When you take that yolk out, you're missing some protein as well, and then you're not going to assimilate as well. You need fats to digest protein. And Ben has talked about this in all his documents. Fats are important because they're acidic in nature. Proteins and fats are acidic in nature. Carbohydrates are alkaline in nature. And so when you mix those, that's what causes the bloating in the stomach and the gas.
Okay.
That's why it's important to eat your proteins first. And if you do have some carbohydrates, follow it up last. Okay. Because also protein takes longer to digest, and it also burns calories to digest. So that's another element to that. Now, as far as the protein powder, there's a lot of different whey proteins, and some of them are pretty good. I like our milk and egg protein just because it's a little heavier. It fills me up better, because some of the whey proteins I've tried, it's like I had nothing, and it just didn't do anything. Now, the beef liver, I only use that to supplement in between meals to keep my body in a positive nitrogen balance, because it breaks down immediately. So I like to take about 10 capsules, which is about 10 grams of protein. And I take them like twice a day. And it doesn't have to be every day. But when I'm training, I like to make sure I'm hitting that with the training, because I found it really helps my endurance and my strength to not tap down so much. So when the proteins, you need highly absorbable proteins. So again, those are going to be meat-based, eggs, beef. I like the dark meat, chicken, poultry, that kind of stuff will be good. But if you're concerned about cholesterol, everything needs to be grass-fed beef and grass-fed butter. Grass-fed beef and butter are 40% less in cholesterol. You're not going to see that on any packaging. The other thing is, what happens when the cows eat the grass is it contains conjugated linoleic acid, known as CLA. That CLA is an automatic fat emulsifier. So you're going to be burning that up much easier by having grass-fed beef. And again, I would recommend it be organic as well in that category, because of all the, there's a lot of bad press on beef, but it's because of what they're doing to it if it's not organic. And even organic, you got to kind of question that sometimes. So I'm not telling it's all perfect, but that's what I'm doing. And it seems to be working pretty good for me on that. Does that kind of give you a better strategy, or?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. All right. Anybody? Who's next?
Hey, Arman, how you doing? This is Daniel LaFontaine from Staten Island, New York. How you doing today?
Doing great, man. Glad you're here.
Great. Glad to be here. I have a question. Well, let me give you a little quick history. Last September, I started with the 21-day challenge, and I did pretty good with that. And then I joined Vince's gym online, and I went with doing the 6x6.
Okay.
And I was doing real good with that until December, when I had to go to the hospital for a foot infection. And since then up until now, I have not been able to go to the gym, but I just got the green light. Yeah, it's okay. I just got the green light to go back to work, and as well as to go back to the gym. My question is, what program do you recommend I should start up? What regimen should I perform in order to get back into the groove of things?
Well, if you're just starting fresh, I'd probably just do the do the 21-day thing, just to kind of use lightweight to kind of your joints. How old are you, if you don't mind my asking?
Oh, no problem. I'm 52 years old.
Yeah, you got to let your joints tighten back up again, because they don't work as well as we age, and so you got to toughen them back up. So the higher reps, get the blood flow in there, and then that way, as you start to progress back up with your strength, your joints will be in good shape, and you'll be less likely to get tendonitis. One of the things that happens is, if you have a layoff and you go right back to the heavy stuff, what happens, and what happened to me anyways, and a lot of the clients I work with, is you'll get tendonitis. And tendonitis is it's a pretty much a headache, because it's high inflammation in that area. Now, if you do get tendonitis, what I feel works the best, and I don't know if anybody needs this question answered, but I'll just hit it real quick, is you got to cut back the weight, do your repetitions with a much slower cadence.
Mhm.
You can't have any momentum kicking in on the joint. Okay.
Okay.
Slow down
Right.
the cadence and do it nice and steady. And then also krill oil is very good it has xanthine in it, which helps reduce inflammation specifically in the joint. So I recommend that, and take that maybe twice a day for a week to kind of load up on it, and then take it daily to help your any kind of joint pain. Now, if you have a lot of muscle ongoing with that, you have any muscle pain and ache, then I recommend Formula 303, which is a valerian root extract, very effective for muscle pain or injuries. Like if you strain your back or something, you can take it every 3 hours, and it doesn't jack up your liver enzymes like you're going to get with ibuprofen and Tylenol and all these other analgesics that are available. So, yeah, I would start with the 21 days and get your nutrition, because you need that protein to help you, because you're tearing down that muscle. You want to make good recovery. Keep that protein and fats pretty consistent, and then just kind of read your body. Does that help you?
Okay. Yeah, it does. But one more question. Okay,
Yeah.
once I get back into the groove of things, my goal is, of course, like everybody else, to get a little more muscular, get a little bulkier. Which program do you think I should focus on after that? Should I resume the 6x6 regimen, or
Yeah, I think the
should I try something else?
6x6 would be good, because you're going to be that's pretty good conditioning work. Now, I do like to go a little higher on the legs, because of where the heart's located and how much blood volume you got to push into the legs, because I struggle with legs. And so I found that higher repetitions, heavy as possible, will help the legs. Okay. So I like to do 12 to 20 on the legs as heavy as possible as a rep.
Okay.
Doesn't mean you can go under that, but I just feel like every time I stay in that range, it's pretty much a sweet spot.
Okay,
That's
great.
for me.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, thanks a lot.
Arman, we have a question that came in the chat.
Oh, okay.
So someone asked, their name on here is just health. So I'm not sure who that is, but their question is, what do you take to lower inflammation in your body?
Okay. Well, with inflammation, fish oil is probably the number one source of supplementation, or eating fish. Okay. Especially cold water salmons is really a better one to keep your the level of heavy metal down, as if you're looking at that too. But what fish oil does, for those who are not really familiar with it, those acids, they make the cell wall soft, supple, and sticky. Okay. And when that happens, it allows the hormones to attach onto the cells much easier and to get down into the system. That's insulin, your hormone, all your hormones. Okay. So when that happens, it helps to let everything do its work, which reduces inflammation. Inflammation can come in different methods. So nutritionally, there's different, like tomatoes are pretty good for that. Turmeric is good for that. So that, what you can do with food or supplementation. Ginger is pretty good for that. But for me, I haven't really had a lot of issue with that, just with the foods I'm eating. So I just I take the fish oil, and I do krill oil just as a preventative, because I've never had a lot of joint issues, but every now and then it will kind of crop up. So I just stay on the krill oil with that, combined with the fish oil. Is that asking if that helps them there, if they need more clarification? Or low grade inflammation is not a good thing, people. So yeah, you want to, because that's what causes the aging process to kick up. It slows down blood flow. When you slow down blood flow, you're going to be more susceptible to high blood pressure, elevated cholesterol, triglyceride readings, things like that, because you got to think of your blood flow like a river. When it's flowing nice and fast, things are great. But when it slows down, you got logs and brush coming down the river and starts getting stuck on the bank. That's like clogging an artery, as an example. That's what inflammation will do to you over time.
Awesome. That's great. So I think I think Sean has his hand up. Sean, if you want to jump out.
Yep, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
You can hear me? Yep. So I did a transformation challenge, like a 16 weeks, and dropped 12 kilos. So I'm still putting on the muscle, and I'm getting a bit leaner, but I'm now contemplating.
Hey, Sean, I'm getting a little bit of vibration in there. Do you want to maybe type it in, and I'll go from there, because it's kind of distorted a little bit. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's kind of tough to hear you.
Oh, okay.
can you type it in the chat and I can answer your question that way? Would that be all right?
Yeah, I think we're going.
Sorry, Sean.
Yeah.
There was one. Or is there a different way? Is there a different way for you to join audio
That's right.
as well?
Yeah.
Okay. While we wait for Sean, Ronald asked, I know Vince was a big proponent of glandulars. Do you recommend them with food or between meals, and what kind of dosage?
Okay, so what I've used for glandulars is just our glandular that we have in NSP, okay, the hormone optimizer, which has 3 different glandulars in it. And so when I talked to the guy that makes the product, he suggested you take 1 glandular with each meal. Okay, and I wouldn't take more than 3 a day on that either. But I don't think it's necessary. So, 2 to 3 would be the way to take the glandulars. Now, Vince did talk about taking glandulars, after workout, before workout, which is Orchic, which is the one he suggested, but we don't have that in its form. So I've taken the optimizer, and I would take it with three times a day with the meals if I'm really training hard. You don't necessarily have to take it all the time, but that's what I was doing when I was preparing for the show, and I felt like that helped me. With, of course, I had so many things going on. I'm sure everything's probably helping me, but I thought it was beneficial. Hopefully that kind of gives you an idea, but that's how the guy that created the product suggested to take it is with the meal. You want your juices flowing so it digests, because glandulars are they work like, it's likes like is how do you explain it. So that gland, if it's a orchic gland, it's going to go work and match up with the testicle as an example. So that's how and they've been around for centuries, and it's people used to eat organ meats because that's what it does for you. It helps your organs and your glands. Hopefully that helps.
Yeah. So Sean's question was, how do you know when it's the right time to compete? Like in a show, maybe just, how do you know it's time,
All right. Well, I don't know if you ever really know. You just you kind of go with your gut. And the thing is, when you do a show, like I worked with a guy today, and he's a young guy, and he's 27 or whatever, and he's getting ready to do a show, and he's got good potential, but he just didn't know much. Okay. So I really had to, educate him about it, because the bottom line is you got to get in there and just, learn it, or you hire somebody that has good education to help you cut that curve down. So if you feel like you're going to do a show,
Sean wants you to know Sean is 53, just so you know.
Okay.
Take that into account.
So if you're going to do a show, what I did before I started competing again back in 2018 is I just looked up who was winning the shows, and I compared myself in the mirror and said, well, do I think I can hold my own on it or not? And if not, then I need to work on my weaker areas and bring them up. So it's kind of how I did it. It's I would say in a lot of cases, it's a personal preference, unless you got guys that are saying, hey, you look really good, you might want to consider it. But then you just want to be able to critique yourself on how you're going to compare. And there's so many different categories. That's what you want to look at. What category do you want to go into? Because now they have all kinds. You have physique, which you can just wear board shorts. So if your legs aren't great, then you can still do pretty good and, win a lot. Okay. So that gives you time to bring your legs up if you want to compete in like classic physique or even bodybuilding. And I've competed in all 3. I just don't like the physique because I didn't understand how to pose very well, mostly for me, but that was just me. But the classic physique, which is more bodybuilding back in the 80s and 90s, is how that's designed. So you want to be pretty ripped for that. And you have the bodybuilding, which is more catered towards being ripped and being big. So those are your categories. And then you got to decide, like for me, I was in the welterweight for bodybuilding, but then I was in the 5'7" to, 5'5" to 5'7" category up to 175 pounds. So you got to look at these different things and decide where you would fit in at as you get lean. So hopefully that gives you an idea, gives you some strategy. If not, then, type in another question. I'll see if I can answer it for you. But that's how I kind of approach it. And it's trial and error unless you have, a good coach that can kind of lay it out for you.
All right. Sean says thank you. He appreciates that. All right. You're back up, Arman, if you want to ask anyone else to jump out.
Who's up?
I'll jump in there.
All right.
How are y'all?
Good.
I'm Eric Banks from Oklahoma. And
All right.
what I've struggled with weight my whole life. I've never had any trouble putting muscle mass on. It's not an issue at all. But getting rid of the fat's always been the struggle. I started about 2 years ago, I guess. I've tried every diet you can imagine. Nothing ever worked. I started keto about 2 years ago. And since then I lost about 80 pounds. And then since then I've put about 10 to 12 back on and, lean muscle mass. But I've got to a point now, I've still got that little bit right around the stomach, love handles, lower back, chest that will not go away. And I was just wondering what your recommendations would be on that as far as, I'm not worried about a six pack or nothing. I just want to firm all that up where it ain't that just loose, flabby crap,
Okay.
What would you recommend for that and to do that and maintain the muscle mass at the same time?
Well, from my experience and the clients I've worked with, you really want to focus on your protein and fats. And so once you're getting pretty lean, so that means you really got to manage your carbohydrates with very little. Okay. So if you got a carbohydrate load, I'd probably do it every 3 or 4 days. Okay. And then make sure your protein's real consistent. So some type of protein. You look like you're a pretty big guy. You're pretty tall, or?
I'm right at 6 foot, and right now I weigh about 225.
Okay, so you're a big frame guy. So your protein intake is going to probably be a little higher. So you don't necessarily have to be 1 pound, 1 gram of protein per pound. Okay, that's really not necessary. But you do want to be probably around 200 grams to 180 grams of protein as a safety. Okay. And then you just want to use the fats enough to keep your energy up and then have very few carbs. Okay. And so I would probably do the carbs probably every 3 or 4 days and see how you respond. Everything that you're doing with nutrition, you got to kind of see how you're responding. Okay. And if you're doing it right, you're going to start to notice things. But the thing is, these changes take, several weeks sometimes before they start kicking in. So you got to kind of hang in there to give it some time. That was one thing that Vince was big on, is giving things time to make sure you understood how they were going to work. So I'd keep your protein intake consistent, minimize your carbs. And then when you do have carbs, every 3 or 4 days, and if you're still not leaning out, then go to every 7 to 8 days. Okay. And you will slowly start seeing things happen. Now, the other thing I do suggest is doing the beef liver or amino acids in between meals to keep everything from losing muscle tissue. Because as long as you're burning fat and you got plenty of amino acids in your system, you're not going to lose muscle tissue. You'll stay in a positive nitrogen balance, and that's in your training. I mean, that's what's going to happen. So your better gauge as well is if you start getting weaker in your training, then you're depleting too much. Then you need to bring up your fat intake a little bit more, or do a carb reload. Okay, and a carb reload, again, I like high glycemic carbohydrates to reload because it's going to jack up the insulin and it's come right back down. So high glycemic carbohydrates are the bad carbs. White potatoes, like mashed potatoes, white sticky rice, pasta, white pasta, not the grain stuff. Okay, watermelon, grapes, high glycemic fruits like that. Again, and eat till you're full. You don't want to overdo it. Another thing is not trying to overeat with your meals. So as soon as you feel like you're getting full, shut it down. Your body will slowly adapt to that fuel intake. It just does over time. And again, as long as you're getting stronger, like I got a guy getting ready for a show right now, and he's going to be close, he's 40 or whatever. And he's getting stronger even though he's dieting. Okay, because it's working for him. His hormones are staying up, and that just means your hormones are working good too. If you can cut your food back a little bit and you're still strong, that means things are working the right way. And how many days a week are you training?
Minimum 3 days. I mean, I work rotating shifts in refinery, so my schedule's crazy, days to nights and different days of the week every week. Okay. So it's usually minimum 3 days, and some weeks it's 7 days.
Good. Try not to train 7 days though. You gotta let your central nervous system catch up so you don't get too run down. And how long are your training sessions?
Usually right around an hour.
I'd keep it around 45 minutes and just up your intensity. You know, intensity is what builds muscle. It's not how long you're in the gym. Because I did all that. I did 2-hour workouts. I did 3-hour workouts, and it just isn't good. Are you doing cardio?
Very little.
All right. Don't
I
worry
did
about
for a while.
cardio.
I did, and when I was doing a lot of cardio, I was starving to death all the time.
Well, you're probably burning muscle tissue from cardio. Now, cardio is not a bad thing. Don't get me wrong. Okay. I'm not saying don't do cardio, but you need to manage cardio in the sense that if you do too much, you're going to burn up muscle tissue. And that's what happens very easily if you do too much. Okay. Because you only have so much reserve for your body to do its processes. So I like to do cardio 10 to 15 minutes, but high intensity. You know, again, and a lot of times what you're burning in cardio is you're burning carbohydrates. You're not burning fat, you're burning carbohydrates in most cases.
Yeah, that's what I generally kind of concentrate on, more of a, your 10 by 10, 8 by 8 type workouts with everything and very little rest in between sets, just to keep my heart rate up the whole time I'm working out.
That's best. And that's kind of what I do too. And I found that works much better than the long rest periods. Now, if you're trying to do some strength training, then if you have a specific area you want to work on, then longer rest periods will help you with getting that strength training in, but you got to understand what's your end game. Okay. If you want to put some muscle on, you need to be pouring blood into the muscle to expand the capillaries, expand the fascia, okay, of the areas you're trying to improve on. And so short breaks are what do that, because you keep the pressure on. Okay.
As far as diet, like right now, my diet, I mean, my staples definitely are beef, eggs, avocados, and I usually have at least one kale and spinach salad a day.
Okay.
But I mean, I'm right now, I'm around 165, 70 grams of protein a day. I'm actually doing kind of more of a modified keto right now where it's higher protein. I'm about 165, 170 grams of protein, about 160 grams of fat, and about 25 carbs a day.
That's not bad. Okay. So, but I was just since you're a bigger guy, I do make sure you're getting 30 to 50 grams per meal. Okay. Because again,
so would you be against intermittent fasting then?
No, intermittent fasting is great. I like the 12 to 16 hour fast periods. That also helps your body to clear out, damaged cells. It has a cleansing process, and it really will help your hormones activate better.
Because I know a while ago you were talking about not overeating. And I think that maybe something I do a lot of times, because I get into intermittent fasting, 16 hours or so, and then trying to get that much fat and that much protein in that short window, I probably do overeat.
Yeah, well, if you're overeating, then, and again, there's no benefit to overeating. It just means you got to work it off. So you want to, again, as soon as you start feeling full, another way to help your body feel full is chew your food slowly. Okay, and that also helps your digestion. The more you chew your food, the better. Because as you get older, the digestive enzymes aren't as good, and your hydrochloric acid isn't always as good. So that's one way to do it, other than taking digestive enzymes and taking some hydrochloric acid to help you ingest the digestion.
Arman, I'll jump in here real quick.
Yeah.
I think now's a good time for you to share the magic shake, as I've been saying. Now, again, I do want to say we will say, like, we can't, all the disclosures, right? Like, we don't, it's up to you. You can try it out. It's up, your own safety and all that stuff. But it's pretty cool. It's kind of beginning to spread around the NSP. We're all, trying it out now. So Arman, share that, and it's pretty cool.
Well, it's nothing I did. It's something that Vince did. So when you read about the, egg diet, okay, in the, so what's the Wild Physique, he talks about 12 eggs and a recipe in there. So you take 12 whole eggs, you put that in a blender. Now, the thing is with eggs, when you're cracking them open, every now and then you'll have a bad egg, right? So you crack the eggs in first. That way, if you get a bad one, you either throw out the batch so you don't, get sick or anything, okay? That's very rare, but just use that as a precaution, okay? So I crack my eggs open, all 12. Then I get 12 ounces of half and half, and I like the organic half and half. You pour that in there, and then we like the the NSP milk and egg protein. That's going to flavor this drink in the blender. So you throw you only need 1 scoop because you got plenty of protein, okay? But it gives it flavor. And then an optional would be using a banana, okay? And so that banana will give you some carbohydrates and also flavor it as well. So you put all that in the blender, you turn it on, blend it up, and drink that. And typically it takes about, I don't know, like 5-10 minutes, and I'll drink that down. And you will be good for at least 4 to 6 hours. You'll have no appetite. You're full.
Of course.
Now, the stats on it, I don't have them all handy, but it's like almost 1,500 calories with that drink when you include the protein, the eggs, and everything. So it will fill you up. It will last. And so Vince used this as a way to add weight for his athletes, but I've also done it where I don't even eat lunch. I'll have that and I'm good. I don't even go. I go all the way through lunch, and then I'll have a dinner in the evening. So, but I still take my liver capsules in between, especially if I'm training, to make sure I keep my energy up and keep my body in a positive nitrogen balance with having that.
And do you know, Arman, how much protein is that per shake?
Well, you got 72 grams typically, well, 72 with the eggs, and then you have 26 with I think it was 111 grams because you got some in the half and half. You got protein in there. You got casein in there too. So I think it was like 112, maybe 120 grams of protein with that one drink.
Great. And it tastes good, right? Is what you said.
It was amazing. It tastes really good. I used the almond and I've used the vanilla. And another guy commented he did the chocolate and he loved it too. So if you want something that's real sustainable as far as something quick, and you just drink it and you're good to go. I mean, it digests and everything because it's already pre-done. And it works pretty good. I've done several of them, probably 4 of them now, and you can still have lunch if you're still hungry, but I haven't really needed it for me. So it just depends on how big of a person you are and what your requirements are.
Was it not a big issue getting all that protein, all those calories, everything all at once?
Well, your body absorbs it. And here's the thing is, and Vince kind of figured this out. I mean, eggs are 3.9 on a 4-point scale of protein efficiency. You don't have a better source. So it will absorb. So you don't have a lot of leftover. And the yolks, again, that's your fat. So it digests and it just stays with you. Food is food. I mean, if you have a big steak, it's going to hold you over for, sometimes, a whole day, depending on how much red meat you're having, because it takes a slower time to break down. But these eggs, they absorb. I was just pretty surprised by how I felt and how my strength was. It was like, I thought I'd have to eat something at lunch and didn't need to. And so if you're kind of pressing for time and you need a meal to last you for a long time, I would suggest it.
All right. Have time for one more question and perhaps more after that, but I want to do a cool little update. But anyone else have anything they want to ask first before we do that? Okay. All right. Good. All right. Well, I'll just share one quick thing with Arman. If you guys are here on this on the call, this is not something that we're putting out yet. We're sort of getting feedback and kind of seeing if it kind of makes sense. But obviously, you guys can tell that Arman's like a real stud. He knows a ton of stuff. It's just like, I don't even know. I call him myself all the time. And one of the things that we're going to do, it's in a testing phase right now, but we're going to put out a sort of training with Arman program. We're only going to take about 10 people right now because Arman's going to personally work with you. I'll send the site out. This is not public yet, so please don't share this yet. We're not going to even probably put this out for a bit. We thought the people that showed up here would probably, get the first shot at it. But what we're going to do is we've got this incredible app that we've built out, and Arman is going to kind of be the person to work with you. So if you do decide to join, he will actually call you, ask you everything, find out what you have access to, and he will create a custom program for you to train with. Because what we want at NSP is we want success stories. We want more people on our stuff, obviously. So that's a big thing. So Arman has agreed to, do that. I just put the site in, but basically, Arman, you can talk more about it, because I know you've done this for a few other people, but this is kind of the first time we're, bringing out to this audience.
Yeah, so if you have an interest in this, I like the app a lot because it's pretty turnkey. It has, I can put the nutrition in there. You can, if you want to do your macros, it'll help you do that. It has, it's like MyFitnessPal. As far as nutrition, it has all that in there. And then all the training, there's videos in there. So every exercise has a video. So you're going to get a decent demonstration, a pretty accurate demonstration on how you should do the exercise. But then I combine these exercises based on your goal and objective. So, if you want to build your chest more, that's a weaker area, then I'm going to design things around that. If your legs are an area that you're struggling with, I'm going to design things around that. You'll hit all the muscle groups, don't get me wrong, but you're going to focus on the things that maybe you need more help with. And then you also have a place in the apps to upload before photos, so you can kind of see how you're changing as you're doing the stuff. All the workouts and nutrition that you utilize and you go through and you use the program, it saves all your data. So you can see how you're progressing on each of the exercises, rep-wise, weight-wise, things like that. And then there's a communication part in the app, so we can communicate back and forth to keep it simple. And then that way you're getting clarity about what you're supposed to be doing and how you're doing it, because that's what I found helps people the most, is being clear on what they got to do to get the result they're looking for. Then again, if you have questions about supplements, I can talk about that. But the app is very comprehensive, and if you have a Fitbit or an Apple Watch, it will also communicate with that for tracking purposes, if you have an interest in something like that too, as far as your heart rate and what's going on with your body day to day. So you have a ton of features on it. It's hard for me to describe them all, but it's an easy way, though, for the clients I've worked with before this to put together winning programs for them that, they can get stuff done. And I can't be there, but at the same time, I'm there coaching the whole time.
Hello.
Yeah, I know, Arman, you'll go in, as we said, you'll customize the actual program based on what goals they have, whether it's fat loss or.
Yeah, I mean, if you're training 3 days a week, I'll put a program in for 3 days a week. You're training 5 days a week, I'll put a program in for 5 days a week. And I'll mix them up for you so that you're getting some variety with it. And then when you do a workout, if you submit it the right way, it sends it to me and I can look at it and see how you could put notes in there on each workout. But it also has, you could put the weight in, you can put how many reps you did. It has a timer in there for 15, 30 seconds, whatever you're going to do for your rest intervals. And then it has tempo. And tempo is how slow to do the repetitions. Because there's certain strategies there that I use that I help my clients with that can help you to make that exercise more difficult. If you want to do supersets or giant sets, I can do all that in the app. So you don't have any limitations.
Yeah, I remember tempo. That's the one that kills you, because you think you got to go at like a half-second speed and you're just like shaking.
Real slow and steady. I mean, there's all kinds, and they all have a benefit. So nothing's ever going to be, that one thing. It fits everybody. So that's another thing I found is we can change up the tempos, and then I change them a lot of times for people just so that it stimulates the muscle differently.
Yeah, and one quick thing too, I guess 2 things we'll add. We're to try to make it easier too. We're going to give back at right now it's at 25. We may be able to bring it up some, but at least $25 a month we're going to give you back in NSP store credit. So that's one way we to try to help make it a little bit cheaper, and also help us with our goal, which is again to sell more of our stuff. But that is part of it. And then also there will be nutrition as well. So that will be also part of it. So Arman will help to tweak your food and all of that stuff. So it's a pretty much turnkey system for any guy that, you know, is trying to get in shape, whether you want to be like me and just drop a few pounds, or you want to be like Arman and be on stage, you know, and anywhere in between that. He's got it. I've trained with him off and on now for quite a few years and have done extremely well. When I met Arman, I was probably closer to 275, 280, and now I'm, you know, down to 210. So it's not bad, but you know, we all can, I like us all. I want more too. So I'll probably be in the app too. So, all right. Anything else, Arman, on that side of it?
Well, I mean, it's something we're going to do some testing on, so it won't be perfect, but at the same time, it should be an enjoyable experience, and you know, we can learn from each other as well with this program. We'd like to be able to refine it really well to really build some good quality value, so people can take a lot of the guesswork of, you know, what to do.
Yeah, and again, I'll say the site. It's vincesgym.com/train-with-Arman, but there's a dash in there, so train-with-Arman, and I'll also email it out to everyone. We are going to also do a 30-day time frame on it, so try it out. If it's not a fit for you, if it's not what you want, then we'll refund you. It's no big deal. We're testing it out, and we want to work with just 10 people, and so that's kind of that. So I'll email that too, so it's in your inbox. All right, Arman, I'll let you close it out. If there's anyone else that wants to ask anything, feel free, but I'll pass back to you.
You're going to email that site out? I'm sorry. You're going to email the site out to what you're talking about for the...
Yes, I'm going to send an email right now with the link, and we put together a page that kind of just explains it all. So I'm going to do that right now, actually while Arman wraps.
So, and this is Mike Suttle. I'm in Albuquerque. So I got my first weight set when I was 13, and they say that you don't quit lifting weights when you get old. You get old when you quit lifting, right? So I'm 72 now, and going to have my shoulder replaced here next about a month or so. Finally gave out. I can't lift it anymore. I do things, you know, but I'm limited. But I'm looking forward to getting that mobility back to be do stuff. But it's going to be, I'm going to be out of balance because one side's going to be weak and, you know, going to break and all that kind of stuff. But I'll get through it. I'm just what I'm trying to tell you is that appreciate what you're doing and sharing this kind of stuff. It's good stuff. And you know, hey, we're all in this together, kind of thing. You know, none of us got it right. You got it a lot more figured out. A lot of that's because you do it. I think that's the biggest obstacle I always found in all my weight training days. It's not as much what I'm doing, it's just doing it. You know what I mean? And that's the part.
Well, I appreciate the feedback. You know, again, you have to find what works for yourself, but also there's some principles that will help you figure that out quicker. And that's part of what I'm trying to do with people and the clients I work with is, you know, here's what happened with me, and here's what happens with my clients. And I take those experiences to help shave some of that time off that you can waste, because I've wasted a ton of time, unfortunately, but at the same time, now I have it. You can't take it away from me. I've already learned what happened when you do this, you do that. Now, also, I will say this, guys, I am working on an anti-aging program, and there's a lot of good things coming down the pipe on that. So, and I'm experimenting on myself, which I do for everything anyway, so I can keep you posted on some of these new developments. But there's I just got to tell you that there's some potential light in the tunnel where you can actually reverse aging based on what I'm reading and what I'm learning going forward here. So keep yourself as healthy as possible. It's interesting how things can last. But like anything else, it requires other steps to be involved along with your training. But exercise is the first step. It has a lot of benefits. It keeps your NAD levels, it keeps your telomeres and other parts of your cellular system working better. And people that don't exercise are missing out on those benefits if they want to, you know, take advantage of them. Well, I really appreciate everybody showing up. I mean, this is great. Again, we'll take any other feedback. Feel free to make a lot of comments, if you can on any of the groups. So the more we know, the more we can try to help you guys.
Sounds good. Thank you for everything. And best wishes to all the guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, and
Thank you.
All right, same to you, Bal.
Thanks, guys. And we will try to do these more often too. So we're going to try to do this at least once per, I don't know, month. We'll see. So it'll be fun. All right. Thanks, guys. And I'll
Thank
get
you very much, guys.
email out
All right.
right now. So
Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Keep pumping, guys.
Yeah. 'Cause I know